Whoop. Hey y'all, welcome to another Flashpoint FOC show. Is one of my favorite shows just because this is literally how we order the comics. This makes everybody's life easier. Um, I'm sure as you guys are joining, you guys are wondering, well, what is FOC? FOC stands for Final Order Cutoff. It is your last chance to order a book before it can potentially be sold out. So it's like your last chance to guarantee a book, as long as there's no allocations. Every once in a while, like a foil cover or something minimal will get allocated. Stores might have ordered 10, they get 5, but most books are not allocated. So Final Order Cutoff is your last chance to guarantee a book. Roy, in the last 3 years you've been FOCing books, how many times you think you've been allocated?
Never, not
Yeah.
once.
Yeah, it's like a 1 in 1,000 type of thing. Like, we say it because we know it happens, but Roy's been FOCing books for at least 3 years now, and it hasn't happened.
No, it's still the most beautiful thing ever. I just tell you what you want, and you just give me what I ask for. It's beautiful. I understand that people are bent on having their subscription service, their files at the shop, like whatever, and that's fine. I'm not encouraging you to not do that. But me personally, I just look at this list every single week and I'm like, I want this book. I know the books I read. I understand we've talked before that you get paranoid, like, oh, what if I miss something, but they've got ways for you to subscribe to those titles as
Yeah.
well so that you don't have to worry about that. But I'm so picky and choosy about my covers that for me personally, it worked to just completely abandon a pull list and I only FOC my books every single week. And it's been the most beautiful thing ever. I mean, there has been instances of human error on both sides. There
Mhm.
have been instances of machine error, but no system is perfect. So I definitely wouldn't want to go back, and it's the only way I do it. And I'm constantly taken aback by how many people I see online in comic book forums that have no idea what FOC is and are desperately wondering how I got this variant that they never heard of. I knew I was getting this book 3 weeks ago. You know what I mean? Like, I get to see every cover. Pull box doesn't show variant or incentives,
Mhm.
but you can always track that stuff down if you
Yeah.
want to, and then talk to your LCS directly. I would
Yeah,
assume.
yeah, yeah.
But
Most books will have an incentive, so you can
yeah,
just Google, whatever,
uh,
TMNT Naruto number 2, 1 in 25, and you'll
Comic
find it
Book
real quick.
Geeks is a good way to
Yeah,
do that. They've got all the incentives listed and stuff like that. So you can always look ahead there at your title and then, like I said, talk to your comic book shop. I would imagine that different people have different systems. Some people might prefer
yeah,
to come first serve that day. I know that when I first started, as long as my email was the first one in, then I was guaranteed that incentive.
yeah.
And so at that point, it's just how hard do you want it? Because then I would go and search books a little bit in advance. So I would already be ready. So my list was ready for when it was, okay, time to send your email, sent.
Boom.
You know what I mean? I don't have to go and do anything else at that point. And I got those incentives all the time. So it's super simple. If you want something, then you just pick that something and then they just give you that something. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, FOC is for you.
I don't throw the word guarantee around, but I
Well,
think
no, nothing's guaranteed,
but
but
when I say FOC, it's the closest thing. It's the closest way to guarantee anything in the comic book world is to FOC it. Even pre-ordering, we've all learned this. Even pre-ordering exclusive covers from the people who make them sometimes doesn't even guarantee it. So it's
correct.
nothing's guaranteed in life, but it's the dang closest thing you can kind of get to.
It's
Um,
definitely superior. I
yeah,
would put it
which
that
leads
way.
me to how do you FOC your books? This is pretty simple because we have pull box. So you could go to Previews World. I actually forgot to put the QR code up here, but you go to previewsworld.com and you can go to pull box. You have to create an account, or if you already have an account, just type in Flashpoint Comics and Games. You're going to find us with our location in Apopka. And I just have to approve you, and then you can order books. I actually want to take that opportunity to give a shout out to Kalani. I think I'm saying that right. We found ourselves on eBay. He bought a couple books from me off eBay, and next thing you know, man, it's like it becomes a pull box. And next thing you know, I'm teaching him Previews World and FOC, man,
Nice.
and you know what? Took him a week, figured it out. He told me straight up, he's like, I'm pretty comfy with pull box, dude. I think you're gonna see all my orders go through there. So it's like that's great. Let me just word it that way. It's a quick enough thing that you could probably pick it up in less than a week, just messing around looking for comics. with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and show you the website. So obviously that's an ad at the top, but this is previewsworld.com / final orders due. This is my Bible. This is kind of what I look at every which way, and this is the Bible. You end up here, you click my pull box, and you log in, and then it's gonna kick you right back here, and it's gonna show you everything. The way you will know you're not logged in is if you get down to DC and it's blank. If there ain't books there, you're not logged in. Let's just word
It
it like
prompts you there to log in.
Yep.
Also, just
Yep,
says log
exactly.
in.
So that'll be your tell. So with that being said, let's move on. Shout out to Kalani. Keep it up, man. We love you. He's actually going to come down for MegaCon. We were already chatting about it. And I'm like, oh, you coming down for MegaCon? We'll meet up. And then I said, I do some CGC work out there. And I'm like, I'll see who I can introduce you to. And I'm hoping I can walk him around the Scott's booth and introduce him to Alan and, if Kale's out there, Steven Segovia, like all the cats that we hang out with. Yep, all the cats that we hang out with. I'm not going to pretend, we ain't hanging out with Scotty Young and stuff like that. But like,
because we haven't had time to get to know him yet.
Yeah, right? We got a crew, though. We're happy about it.
I don't know anyone that dislikes us.
Right? Like, and we just like we're passerbyers a lot of the time, right? Like it's just like, hey, I'm watching the line. It's like half the time I'm doing the CGC stuff, I'm just like the guy watching the line. But at the end of it, I go up to Alan, I'm like, oh, that went well, daps. And now it's become a friendship, man. So like it's really cool.
Yeah.
So let's jump right into it. Image is always, while Image has a lot of titles, it's always kind of a quick thing to go through because there's a lot of, you got your freaking volume 2s of G.I. Joe, your hack slashes, your
buy that book, support Larry Hama.
Larry Hama, baby, still. I got mad respect for Image for being like, hey, we bought the rights to G.I. Joe, but we're gonna let Larry finish out his story, however long he wants to go. We'll call it Real American Hero, and Larry can go as long as he wants. And honestly, I gotta respect that from a company like that, dude. They didn't have to do that.
Support Larry Hama. I want it on a T-shirt today.
So, Image is pretty easy. It's got a trade paperback for G.I. Joe, Spawn. You're always probably going to see Spawn, The Walking Dead Deluxe, and Witchblade. New Witchblade is hitting trade paperback. Boom is where I like to show off a little bit more. They're one of my favorite indie publishers right now. Crocodile Black is on trade. Crocodile Black is a great crime mystery noir, almost like a mob book without the mob, like take the mob out of it and put like a young kid in. And I liked it. It was cool.
Dude, that Jenny Frieson cover is killing me. I wanted to throw $5.99 down the toilet so hard to buy that cover.
Oh, the Bjorn didn't get you?
Not as hard as that Jenny Frieson. That is so amazing, bro. We never to me, my problem with her is just like Scotty. She is so amazing at what she does, but what she does is that one thing.
Yes. Yeah, correct. And it's like that, I don't want to call it pastel, but it's like she's got a color style to her, and like you can always tell, hey, that's a Jenny cover by the color.
And I love it. But so these Hello Darkness covers, if they put out one of those uncovered specials for these, I would absolutely buy that. All of Frieson's covers for this series,
all of Frieson's
phenomenal.
Beautiful. Yeah,
I even bought a few of them, but I wasn't reading the book. And so, no offense to them, I have no idea what's inside those pages, but I was cover buying, and I just couldn't afford to keep cover buying.
Yeah.
It stings every time, and this one stung real bad. I love that cover.
I read the first 2 issues. I've been collecting the Frieson covers for Lauren. And I read the first 2 issues. I'm not a horror guy. I'll start right there. Yeah. But it is a really great horror anthology. And what I love about anthologies in general, and I learned this from Travis Gibb, to be fair, is like you don't have to commit. You know what I'm saying? Like you could pick up Hello Darkness issue 6, and like yes, there might be like a Something Is Killing the Children backup story that's at part 5 or something wild like that. But like for the most part, you're just getting a single anthology story. It honestly reminds me of I'm a guy who used to watch Turner Classic Movies, Turner Classic Channel. So it reminds me of Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
But for people a little bit younger or older, realistically, the middle ground, Tales from the Crypt. It's very Tales from the Crypt-esque. You just don't have the host leading you in, but it's very much that. So I like that book. It's a good one.
Man, I love that cover.
Let's see what else we got. It's a light week for them. I thought Uncanny Valley is cool. At this point, you wait for the trade because you're at 7 to 10. But I thought that was cool. I'm not gonna lie. If my wife wasn't ready to kill me, I would be buying this Halo Legendary mount. It's like a wall.
$70. How big is it though?
You know, let's look. I didn't
We
bother
got a little
clicking.
bit of time. It's a short FOC.
I didn't bother clicking because I'm like, you know what? She's gonna kill me if I even suggest it.
This is usually how I end up buying stupid stuff off of here.
It's 10 by 11, so like not huge. 10 by 11. What are we looking at? Like, I mean, I'd say about 6. So
like beach ballish.
yeah, it's not bad. It's probably like a hardbound comic book, it's probably a little bit bigger than like this D&D hardcover, right? This is probably it's a little wider. This is probably only about 8 inches wide. But man, I grew up on Halo, man, and I remember that's literally like when you picked your difficulty, like that's what, at least the first ones, that's what they showed you. I was all about it.
I know that, and Gears of War is your jam.
Yep. So that's the only offering from Dark Horse.
That's all they got for you.
So we'll jump to DC, which is probably the bulk of it. Marvel's got some hot covers. DC's got Absolute Batman 4. I don't feel like they brought the fire this time around. You know,
they didn't.
I think Francavilla always does good work. Petrie does good work, but none of these are quite Panosian.
That's why I'm waiting, dude, because I didn't order that. I didn't get number 2. And then I was kicking myself in the butt over that damn Panosian Frank Miller homage.
Yep.
And then lo and behold, the second printing comes out and it's that and a foil. And I'm like, I'm never ordering the first print of this book ever.
Yeah. And you know this is going to a second print. I'd say Absolute Batman will go to multiple printings, so at least issue 5.
Without a doubt.
And if it's anything like Transformers, it'll go to infinite printings.
That stuff is crazy.
Yeah, Transformers still dropping printings on the current books and the first issue. Like, it's wild.
That stuff is crazy.
Absolute Superman 3 is on FOC. I do like the spacing on the Declan Shavley cover.
I don't like that face.
Oh yeah.
I don't like that face.
And that's what I didn't like about Christian Ward. Like, I don't know. I don't feel like
win with the Christian Ward because I don't think that this foil is going to be worth the price, especially not when they've got 2 other foils at least coming, like foil facsimiles.
Yep. So Action Comics is out here. This is a weekly book. I am excited for Aquaman. It's weird to say you're excited for Aquaman because it's Aquaman, but Jeremy Adams is writing it, and Jeremy Adams wrote The Flash when me and you were hanging out at Collective. Some of the best Flash stuff I read, and then he's currently writing Green Lantern, which is some of the best Green Lantern stuff I read. I never liked Green Lantern, so I'll start with that. But they got an A cover. I'm not gonna lie, Ivan Reis, that is kind of good cover.
Yeah, it slaps. This is like a comic where, like, it's like, for me, it's like Namor. I hope they do it well, because if they do it well, it's gonna slap. But just time statistically shows that it's probably not going to really stick around, unfortunately.
Exactly. I do think it's cool that they got they're calling it Deep Sea Ultra Gloss foil variant.
What?
So it's $10.
Show it to me.
It's $10 instead of which one shows it? Oh no, that's the wrong one.
I passed by this. I didn't even look at it, but now you got me. Now you got me interested. No.
So it's $9.99 instead of the usual $7.99, which is what DC's been doing on foils. But they're literally calling it the Deep Sea Ultra Gloss foil. I know we got the UV foils for Absolute Power, which those were dope.
I thought they were kind of a letdown for the price and what they were.
Yes. Now my guess with this is that we're gonna get like all the water splashes are gonna be that like raised foil. I could be wrong. But
and this gold's got a hit. This is your high gloss points, and you know what I mean. You can see where they're gonna do it. Yeah. It's super interesting, but that's going to be something that I'm going to have to see it on the shelf because I just couldn't commit $10. And I didn't even know it was a foil until you showed it to me, but I can't commit $10 to that book until I see it.
And then they are doing the regular foil, which is the Fico OCO. We talked about this last week.
Yep.
It's just the foil of him. It's
great images, guys. He's a great illustrator.
Honestly, you know what it reminds me of? I know like Joe Jusko's done it before, stuff like that. It's like those character design variants. Like, hey, draw the character. You know, like here's the basics of his costume. Do it in your style and do every freaking character from the DC universe, you know, over the next couple months. It kind of reminds me of the modern age take on that.
Yeah, or even like kind of like George Perez, like someone who can like draw everybody.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like no, I'm not that there's any real comparison there, but you know what I mean.
Somebody who was versatile. Yeah,
versatile enough to just draw anybody.
Yeah, those old school guys were all like that because there's the older guy. What's his name? Jose Luis Garcia Lopez or whatever.
Garcia Lopez. Yeah, he does awesome. That as well.
Yep. Batgirl's number 3. I do like this B cover, Marcio Takara. Kit Kane, if you like Cassandra Cain, like this is your thing. Batman 156 A cover, Tony Harris. I'm not gonna lie, I feel like the absolute heat is the C cover. I
Oh
mean,
wow.
uh, man,
Wow.
the detail there. It probably took this dude 2 months to do this cover. Like, to be fair, but I think it's just a fire cover.
That
Like,
is fire.
there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Then you got Tony Daniels and a Dan Hip sweater weather cover. What I really want to point out to y'all is Batman 608. That's a famous Jim Lee cover there. But what I love, I think this foil is gonna look absolutely fire. A Jim
And
Lee foil.
you know what I love about it? Like, is that a misprinting on the price? Or did they really just sell so much of this book that they can even afford to sell you the foils for dirt cheap?
No, that's a misprinting because if you look, it's hard probably if you're looking on a screen. It does say $6.99
So it is
under.
$6.99.
Yeah, it says $6.99 under the
You can see it on the picture of the
Yep,
cover. Okay.
yep. So
I
the
mean, I
foil
ordered
is
that beast. You
6.99.
got
Just
to
so
be
you guys
kidding
know.
me. I definitely ordered that.
Yep, that is sick. I mean, Jim Lee, especially older Jim Lee. I'm not hating on Jim Lee now, but Jim Lee back in the day, it was prime comic art for the
That's what I
90s.
tried to tell Master Qua. He's like, no, Jim Lee is the best. And I'm like, no, man, Jim Lee was the best. And he'll always be like Jim Lee will always be Jim Lee. But like, if all you ever ate was ice cream, you'd be so sick of
Yeah,
ice cream.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, so all respect. And he always will be the best of all time. He's
yeah.
always been the best of all time for me. You know what I mean? But like, I've seen enough of it.
And I did like his Justice League. He's hit or miss for me now. I liked his Justice League Unlimited cover. I felt like it homaged some of his older stuff, where all the guys are, all the Justice League members are looking in one direction.
Yeah.
But then I'll admit, there's times where it doesn't hit. I do think me and Dave talked about this back in the day. We think Scott Williams isn't doing all of his inking anymore. And we think that when Scott doesn't do the inking, it's just noticeably different.
Yeah,
It's
for
no,
sure.
it's just Scott is that good and he knows Jim that well that
Dude, I get those unknown comics covers that are him, and you can't even tell you're not looking at Jim Lee work.
Yep.
Like, imagine that you ink Jim Lee for so long that you draw better than Jim Lee does.
Yep, and that's what I think Scott Williams is.
Yes, hundo.
So, shout out to Philip Kennedy Johnson. That's the homie right there. That's
Big
Batman
shout out
and
to Phil Kennedy
Robin.
Johnson.
He's good peeps. Shout out to Dan Waters. Damn, all of our friends are on FOC.
Yeah.
Shout out to Dan Waters. He's got his Batman Dark Patterns. He's also the writer of Nightwing right now, but he's getting to write his favorite character of all time, which is Batman.
Martin Simmons. Yeah, we do know all these people.
Yeah, Martin Simmons on art on the B cover. See?
That's crazy. I know all these people because of you. Let's be clear, but we know all these people. That's wild, dude.
Like, Jim Lee's not one of the ones we know.
No, Jim Lee's not one of the ones.
But like Simmons, who else did we have up here? We had Simmons, Jeremy Adams. I've interviewed twice for my show.
Segovia. I spent time with Segovia.
Yep. Like, and I'm sure as we go down, we're gonna run into more. Let's see who we got. So I do like these glow in the dark Batman full moons. Only
best thing ever. I still have not read that comic, and still every time I've bought 2 of them so far, and both times it was like the most satisfying comic book purchase that I've made in so long, like for modern comics.
Yeah.
Those covers are so satisfying. They're so beautiful.
They're glow in the dark on the back too. That's what I think is so unique. They went ahead and did it all the way around.
Yeah, they did it.
Logos, everything. Birds of Prey is on issue 17. I do think it's a great book. I don't know what the jumping on point is anymore. I think it'll be a couple issues. This is the end of the story arc, so 18 will be another jumping on point. But this guy, I'm not going to pretend like his English lacks, so it's hard for us to have a conversation with him.
Yeah,
but In-Hyuk Lee is also one of the
but we spent time with In-Hyuk Lee as well.
I manage his line a lot. I always volunteer to go do In-Hyuk's line. He's a cool guy.
I got 6 from In-Hyuk.
Black Lightning. I really like this book.
This book is good.
I mentioned. Have you read it yet?
Yeah.
So
I read this one. Yep. That's I had such high hopes for it that I read it and it knocked me out of the water. I loved it.
I got to sit in on an interview, kind of like it was. They were asking questions, but we weren't really asking too much with Mark Waid about Justice League Unlimited. Yeah. And one thing he spent a decent amount of time talking about was Black Lightning and Jefferson Pierce, because Black Lightning's a member of the Justice League now, like a pretty full-time member. And he mentioned how the best trait that Jefferson Pierce brings to the Justice League is that he's a teacher. And he's
Yes.
an educator. And I love that. I love that about him in the TV show. I
Yes.
love that they're hitting that on the Justice League. Because you know what? The Justice League has leaders, but they don't have somebody like Jefferson. You know what I'm saying? They have
Right. Right.
Superman, they have Batman, but they don't have Jefferson. Jefferson's gonna be there. Somebody messes up, the person you want to be walking up to you when you're back on the Watchtower is Black Lightning Jefferson Pierce. You know, that's the
Yeah.
person that's gonna pick you up, but tell you what you screwed up. Like that's the
For
guy.
real. Yeah. Like a good mentor is
Yeah.
always going to see
Yeah.
more of our faults. You know, that's how you grow. So yeah, this one was a no-brainer for me because like I said, anytime that it's something that my family is stoked about, I'm
Hmm.
definitely in. And Michelle, my wife, she learned about Black Lightning through that show. And
Yeah.
she
Lauren too.
really enjoyed that show and she loved those aspects, like what you're talking about, like and I was like, hey, look, I didn't say anything. I just FOC'd it and I brought it home and you're like, oh, and then I opened it up because I didn't know about the penciler or anything. And the art slat, the
Yep.
story was
Well,
good.
the art is the homeboy that's been doing all the foil covers. It is Fico Ocio. So like,
Oh, so it's that. So, okay, well, there
yep,
you go.
there you go. Like he's got it, man. Like
Homie's
I like
killing
that
it.
DC's giving him all those foil covers. I bet you his name's gonna be more out there
They're
than it ever
obviously
was
banking on
3
him.
months ago.
They're obviously banking on him.
Yep, yep. I do like the Brave and the Bold 29 facsimile. You got your regular cover. You do have a foil cover. I the foil cover is $7.99. The regular cover is $4.99. They mixed that up on me. I'm not used to that. And then I'm I'm not gonna lie to you. I think Flash Comics #1 that comes out this upcoming week might be my favorite facsimile because it's a comic book I will never own. 100%
Right.
own. But I think this is #2. So for those of you that don't know, DC Comics Presents 26 is the first appearance of the modern age Teen Titans created by George Perez and Marv Wolfman. So when I say modern age Teen Titans, I mean the iteration that has Robin, Kid Flash, Wonder Girl, and then characters who were created in this book: Cyborg, Raven, and Starfire. So, like, this is the first appearance of Raven, Cyborg, and Starfire. This is the first time George Perez and Marv Wolfman got together and did Teen Titans. It is a book I own 2 copies of. One signed by George Perez, and one raw graded 9.0, no signatures. So I just have to point that out to everybody. So
Man,
there is a foil to that,
it's a
and
big
there's a
book for you.
blank. And the front story's cool. It's Superman and Green Lantern teaming up. But what it is, and that's what DC Comics Presents was. The backup story is introducing new characters, and in this one, you meet the Teen Titans. So it's just a little piece of history for y'all. You got Creature Commandos, DC Vampires. Those are going. Finally, you got the trade paperback and the hardcover of Gotham City Sirens. That was a cool book that came out a couple months ago for about a month.
Cover slap.
All of the covers slap.
All the cover slap. I got that Green Lantern Fractured Spectrum. Listen, that's Green Lantern. No, there it is. Dude,
Right
Green
here.
Lantern is like the best book that DC is putting out right now. I don't care. Like, I think a lot of the hype with the absolute stuff is gonna fade before too long, to be honest. Even the stuff with Ultimate Spider-Man, like it's still selling great, but you don't hear anything
Yeah,
about it
yeah.
anymore. And so I don't think that that's really going to hold on. Meanwhile, this book is still going on. Same writer, same artist throughout all of this. What do you guys call it? The dawn of DC is what you
They're
just got
calling it all
done
DC All In now.
now. But that
Back
was the
then it was
last
Dawn
one.
of DC. Yes, correct.
Okay, so that's where I jumped on with like my John Stewart titles and
Yes, yes.
Outsiders and all, and this Green Lantern is all dawn of DC. So this is like one of the only books that is still like going through all of that, and they're not canceling or absolutely changing everything about because of All In. And it's a phenomenal book, and I think that this is going to be the best Green Lantern since Jeff Johns. I think this is how that's going
I
to turn out when we're down the road and we look
yeah,
back on it.
I agree. And just so anybody knows, I know it says no image here, so the foil is this cover in a virgin foil for
I did get
$6.99.
that.
So it is that. It's like boom, move that art over there.
I had to pass by Master Segovia, but there's Steven
Yeah.
Segovia right there. So I got some.
Yep, there's Steve. So there's another guy we know, Steven Segovia and Jeremy Adams. Like, and then let's see, JSA. I'm not boys with Cully Hammer, but my dude John King actually is real boys with Cully Hammer. That's how I was able. Actually, I found it the other day, Roy.
Oh,
So this is like one of my prides and joys, just because it's so personal. My prides and joys, for the most part, are personal things.
That's what's up.
So this was
Ooh. Oh,
that
that's right.
blue beetle I got. So I bought this. I love, obviously I'm Hispanic, so I love the Hispanic Heritage Month covers. I bought this off of Pablo Villalobos at New York Comic Con last year. So Villalobos signed it. The artist of Blue Beetle, Adrian Gutierrez, signed it. And then Cully Hammer was there, who is the creator, co-creator with Keith Giffen, R.I.P., of Blue Beetle, and he did that remark. And I just think I think it's perfect placement. I know
Yeah.
it's not a huge remark, but
No,
I
it's
love it.
solid too, though.
I
It's
love
not all, like the black field is nice and packed in. It's not
Exactly, and
scribbled looking.
like when you look at that dude, like it's clear he did that with like a pen. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying? Like that's not marker and all this shit. Like that's killer, dude. So like
yeah,
that's really
for sure.
cool. That's one of my favorite pieces in my collection.
It should be. That's pretty bad. I think it's one of my favorite pieces in your collection.
I do think this Justice League Adam project sounds cool. This is Captain Adam, who's like I, I I'd call him a D-list DC character. I think C is giving him even too much
Yeah,
credit.
but like every 10 or 15 years, they really try to shove this guy
Yep,
down your throat, man.
yep. He's essentially the nuclear man. Oh, there's Segovia on a foil cover, baby. There we
Yep,
go.
yep.
Steven Segovia, and he is essentially like, I know people call Firestorm the nuclear man, but like Captain Atom is literally like a nuclear man. Like in a lot of story arcs, of the bad guys are trying to capture him and cause an atom bomb. Like that tends to be the story arc.
Which is unfortunate because the nature of his powers, and they've tried to delve into it. Like I said, they try so hard to shove him down your throat. Like this is like your guy. Like this is how they got Wildstorm into the DC
Yep.
universe is
Yep.
because Captain Atom shenanigans, and like because his powers would allow for these extravagant multiversal things. So it could be great, but then what are you going to do? Like, oh, I can alter the fabric of will, but we don't want to see that. We want to see zappy fists.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and I do think this book, what saves this book is they were smart. So it's called the Atom Project, and it's Captain Atom and then both Adams. So
Yeah.
Ray Palmer and Ryan Choi, which I think it's good because none of these guys are even B-list characters, but you're getting a good group there.
The premise is solid, and this was a very difficult pass for me.
Yes. Yeah.
Very difficult pass.
Yeah. Yeah. Poison Ivy's always now that Frieza's back on covers, I mean,
Yeah.
it's just always hitting. Villalobos doing a good job there too. I like Villalobos a lot.
Villalobos
He really
always
came into his groove last year when we were just seeing a Villalobos cover like every week.
And they fed him the Spanish Heritage covers,
Mhm.
and he just
That
smashed
was
them
that
all.
was what sold me was when
That Bane, dude. That
um
Bane was so rad.
Shazam. I honestly, it's issue 19. Like I get it, it's hard. I've really been digging Mark Spears, so I'm gonna show off Mark Spears cover again.
Yeah.
It's very, I think the guy can emulate. I hate to say it because the guy has his own style, but I think he's very capable of emulating like the Alex Rosses. Like that cover seems very Alex Ross Shazam-y.
Oh, 100%.
And then
And
we
I don't.
talked about Perillo and Bjorn, how he looks
Yep.
it looks a little like that. Like I hate to compare it, but those are all great artists. So it's like it's good
Well,
comparison.
but you have to remember that at this point, we've been doing Alex Ross for so long that these people aren't ripping him off. They're naturally inspired by him.
Yep.
Like imagine, you're 25 years old, you know what I mean? You've been reading comic books since you were a kid, and it's been Alex Ross your whole life. Like he's, there's that, like I said, I think we're just seeing the influence more than any kind of like
Yeah.
copying or worrying about comparison.
Exactly. And that's why I always, when I would compare somebody, I always start, I hate making comparisons, but it's naturally the thing you do. It's hard for you to describe it without having a comparison.
Sure.
Let's jump to Marvel. Marvel tends to be a mixture of cool stuff and then like stuff that's issue 1,062. So this is Amazing Spider-Man 129 facsimile. They have a regular and a foil. This is first appearance of Punisher. All right,
Yeah.
so that's what it is.
I definitely caught that.
Keep in mind, I want to let everybody know, anybody that's watching this just out in the world, Marvel foils are much more expensive to the retailer than DC foils, which is why you're going to see this down there, which is price inquiry. Depending on where they order their foils from, they get something from a no% discount to a 8% discount, I believe, is the answer. I'm just giving you the inside baseball because honestly, this information helps you guys think that your comic store isn't ripping you off. Okay. So if they're getting a no percent discount, they have to make their money. So you go from a $4.99 book to a $9.99 book.
Easy.
And then if they get that little bit of a discount, you might see an $8.99 book. But I just want to be transparent, not just for our sake as Flashpoint, but any comic book store in the country, because if any comic book store is selling it to you for $4.99, God bless them, they're making $0.0 on your transaction.
I feel like I am paying way more than fair prices for my foils, and I always have to pay more for DC than I have to pay for Marvel, or Marvel than DC.
And that's just the nature. Ever since I want to say about a year ago, they just hit that, and we had to take it in stride as retailers. You either don't order them or you get them. You try to move them at the price that you can move them.
Yeah.
I know that I've tried real hard to keep it as low as possible, and the lowest I can go is $8.49. So I know that's still not $6.99, $7.99.
Still though,
dang if I tried to get it to $8.49.
Yeah, it sounds like a struggle. That's every penny counts, not a $8.49. Yeah. Let's just call it $8.99.
Exactly.
That was an every penny counts decision. I like that. I respect that.
Save you 50 cents. A couple of those gets you an extra book. Avengers Assemble, Amazing Spider-Man 65 point defs. I don't like when Amazing Spider-Man does this. They are so notorious for doing point issues. Some other places do 0.5s, but Spider-Man is the most. So
that's why it doesn't have a Scotty cover.
Yep.
Man, I ordered that garbage. I could have got a different foil instead for something else.
Think of it as like a tie-in. You know what I'm saying?
But that's frustrating. That series has gone 61 issues or 64 issues without a point issue.
Yeah,
I didn't even notice that. All I noticed is that there was no Scotty cover. I thought it was weird. I wouldn't have even ordered that book.
When I noticed that there was no Scotty, that's when I started looking into it because I'm like, that's so weird. Obviously, they were supposed to do eight Scotty covers for the 8 defs, So
I wouldn't have even ordered that garbage.
Yep. Exceptional X-Men 5. That's the Kitty Pryde book. Fantastic Four Grand Design. This is a trade paperback. The Grand Design books are really good. I don't know who's doing the art on this. Oh, they got Tom Sicoli doing some art in there, along with some old school Stan Lee and Jack Kirby pieces.
Ooh.
So it's very cool if you like old school. It's a new story with old school art. That's really what they're doing. Immortal Thor number 19. You got Incredible Hulk 21. That's also Philip Kennedy Johnson. And shout out to Martin Simmons on another cover, man. I love
this cover was ill.
Martin might be, I don't want to say it too loosely. You know what? I know at this point, there's a lot of them. Martin is up there on my top British guys, in the comic industry.
Top British guys.
He's British as can be. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
But he's a nice cat, man. He's a nice cat. Laura Kenny Wolverine, so essentially an X-23 book.
No.
You got some short boxes, so you're gonna have Daredevil and Fantastic Four Galactus. I think that
Galactus. I'm gonna want a Galactus box for sure.
Fantastic Four Galactus is gonna slap. I think that's Alex Ross art. I think
it looks it, but it's hard to tell from here.
And of course it doesn't tell you in the solicitation because why would it? But you get Miles Morales 29. There's a lot. So if you're noticing, there's a lot of these Fantastic Four homage covers. It's cool. I'm not gonna lie to you. Let's look at this cover real quick.
It's not cool because it's the movies taking precedent over the comic.
So I think if they did this, and I'm sure they've done it before, but if they did this homage with Miles in there, that'd be cool. The fact that you're throwing Mr. Fantastic in there and it's a Miles Morales book just throws me off, and I can't get over it. And that's what.
Disney pictures of Wolverine on Spider-Man books is the bane of my existence.
Yep. I do think Punisher Kills the Marvel Universe coming back in trade is fun. Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe was always fun, but that was more of a funny book. Punisher doing it is more my dude's just mowing them down.
It was a good story for what it was. You know what you were. They gave you what you came for, and so you know what I mean.
You got Spirits of Vengeance 5.
I had to struggle with that Gonzo cover. I really like it.
I like it. It almost has a Day of the Dead aesthetic. I know it's partially because he's got a skull, and
it kind of reminds me of Maria Wolf as well.
Yes.
A little bit. But I don't know, because I collect this series and the other cover just matches more with the set that I have. But that was a struggle for me, and I really appreciated that
Bro,
art.
he's
I'm gonna
out
keep
here.
my eye out on
He's
that.
out here pulling a. Whose fatality is that? What is that? Scorpion?
A score. Well, no, originally it was Sub-Zero.
Oh, there you go. So Sub-Zero. He was doing the Sub-Zero, pulling out the spine, bro. We got Star Wars Battle of Jakku. We got Storm #4. Who's on Storm covers? Nakayama.
Nakayama.
Nakayama
They're
on the
killing it on these
Western.
covers.
Like, let's be real, dude. That's like, I mean, that's a print, bro. Even if you
I'd
don't
put
like
that poster on the
Storm,
wall in a skinny
yep,
second.
yep. You buy that for $3.99, get a small frame for $5. You got a $10 print on your wall. Speaking of Ultimate Spider-Man, they're at 13. That's still running.
I grabbed that foil.
There is a foil. 1 year because they've been going for 1 year. So there is a foil. This is gonna be I want to say an $8.49 foil, $9.99 foil, whatnot. That's
Something
Craven,
like that.
Craven in the background. It's a $4.99 book, yeah. So it'd be like $8.49. Ultimate. Oh, we're at Ultimate Wolverine now, are we?
I bought this with no confidence. This was a no confidence buy.
So let's show the covers, I guess. There's A, which is the new design. There's a
Which is a cool design. Don't get me wrong.
That's got what are they calling him? I know it's Reed Richards of
That's
that universe.
the Maker.
The Maker. Okay. So you got the Maker. You got a Gleb
Malinkov?
Melnikov. I do like the Bromejo cover.
That's
I'm not
the one I
gonna lie.
ordered.
Is that what you ordered?
Yeah.
Sick. It's pretty sick.
I'd kill for that on a foil, but
and the Ultimate variant is supposed to be like a big deal. What is this?
Omega Red.
Omega Red. And
it's cool.
I don't feel it. I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
Not over that Libramejo, I don't.
Not over the Libramejo. We have more What If Galactus transformed somebody, and this one is Moon Knight. I think after 1 week, I'm already kind of over it. But
don't buy that.
Yeah,
maybe I don't know. Maybe in a trade, if it turns out there was something phenomenal, but it's just a big money grab. Like, oh, what if we made like Gambit, the Herald of Galactus? No, shut up.
Yep. Yeah.
No.
It's like, no, not interested. Thank you for pretending that you were going to get me interested, but no.
No.
Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. This is a tie-in to the TV show that's going to drop on Disney Plus probably around the time the first issue drops.
Yeah, I would assume.
So Dynamite, they were always really quick because look, it's just Vampirella.
Hey man, but those Lucio Perillo ultraviolets, I always wonder.
We did it. We did it, boys. We made it through Dynamite.
we did.
And then as I always call it, I'm calling this area now miscellaneous, including IDW and Valiant. Even though Valiant, I think, is just called Alien Books now.
Yeah, you should just call it Valiant and the Scrubs.
Yeah. So let me scroll through here. I think IDW has one decent book, and I feel like that's always how this happens. And I should be more prepared. I should be more prepared to get people to that IDW book without doing this.
Isn't it just Crocodile Black, the trade paperback?
No, that's a Boom book. I don't understand how this all has. This is a little mucky as I'm scrolling through because I'm like, we've seen some of these things.
It is a weird lumping together, and it seems like they've been shuffling stuff around to see.
I'm not gonna lie. I do think I'm not gonna order it for the store unless somebody special orders it. I do think the Chris Farley biography, written by his brother Kevin Farley, is kind of a cool idea. Like I do think that's I grew up with Chris Farley, right?
Yeah.
Like let me just word it that
way.
I
get it.
What was that? Beverly Hills Ninja, man. Everybody thought that was a terrible movie. I love that thing.
That's all that matters.
It's got Liu Kang from the first Mortal Kombat.
Robin Show.
Yep. And when I was watching that movie, because I had seen Mortal Kombat, right, as a kid, and then I saw Beverly Hills Ninja, and as a kid, I'm just like, Liu Kang's in this movie. Oh man, I do like the name of this book. I know nothing about it, but I do like the name Papa Duke. Like I like it. I don't know.
I read the synopsis and it was super confusing, and I was like, okay,
there we go. That's how you know you don't.
Yeah. It was super confusing, and so I hard passed. Might be a lot of interest in Return of the Dead, more pop culture than just comic related. But there's a lot of Night of the Living Dead heads out there. So.
There is,
and there's your boy Spears, isn't it?
It's Mark. That A cover's Mark Spears, and it does say that this is just when you thought it was safe to go back to the cemetery, we deliver a brand new sequel story to the original movie. So if you like the first movie, like this is kind of your immediate sequel. You know, obviously Romero's not involved; he's passed, but like this is your shot. There is a Rick and Morty New Year's special that is $7.99. So if you love Rick and Morty that much, this is cool. Also $7.99. But Sonic the Hedgehog Best of Shadow. I'm a big Sonic guy. I grew up right at that era. I love Keanu Reeves. I think he acting aside, I think Keanu Reeves has done nothing wrong as a famous person. Like he's done everything you'd want a famous person to do. He's been
I
accessible.
believe we call that one of the good ones.
Yes. He's been accessible. He's out there. I'm not gonna lie, I still like almost tear up when I see the video. He did a surprise signing for Berserker at a comic shop out in
Oh yeah, I
California.
see what you're talking about.
And the little kid comes up with a Duke Kaboom toy from Toy Story 4 because he voiced the character.
Yeah.
And Keanu not only signs the thing and moves on, he's like, "Oh, did you love Duke Kaboom?" He's like, "He's my favorite." He's like, and he does the voice. He's like, "Duke Kaboom, or Canada's best stuntman." And I'm just like, and he's like, "I love Duke Kaboom." He just sounds like a dang genuine person. That's what I'll say. He's a genuinely good person. So
it sure seems that way.
I think his portrayal of Shadow is going to be cool in the Sonic movie. So you have that if you like Sonic. And then I do think that's kind of where it cuts off.
There was like no Valiant, there was no Titan, so there was nothing that's like really in the really small on Ninja Turtles.
Yep.
There was nothing. Zenoscope is what Zenoscope is, and it always is, and they are fantastic at what they do.
Yep. And then you guys can always scroll through some of this other stuff I'm passing: games, collectibles, toys. Most of that stuff is orderable, merchandise. DC's making short. You have me intrigued. They're not beautiful, but DC hasn't made a short box in 3 years. So these look like they're going to be like the golden age, silver age.
That's what it looks like.
It's all right. It'd probably look, if you're a type of person that puts your short boxes on a shelf, like I do think that'd be cool.
Yeah.
But like, the design leaves something to be desired, but it does look cool. And DC has not made a box in 2 to 3 years. So I'll put it. Here we go. This also doesn't look like it's super amazing. But if you're a Batman head, there's a Batman box out now.
It's because they're NECA. All right.
I
get it. I see.
I was just going to say. But yeah, guys, with that being said, thank you for joining us on another FOC show. I want to give a shout out to everybody, including Roy and Nick, who helped out. Nerdy Small Business Saturday was really cool. It was a huge success in comparison to what we've been doing. Obviously, we want to grow still. We want that building to be full from 12 to 5. But we did see great spurts of people. I think all the vendors did good. So I actually just left the venue picked up the chair, and I talked to the lady. And it looks like I got to talk to my wife, make sure she's cool with it. But it looks like January 18th, we will be back at the Winter Springs VFW doing another show. I think I'm spitballing names. I'm thinking because Winter Springs ain't got a scene. So I'm thinking of just calling it the Winter Springs Comic and Toy Show. Take a little page out of some of these other people that kind of name it. I don't want to call it Comic Con because we're not a con. If anybody who's gone into a convention and has walked into one of our shows can clearly tell the difference.
Yeah.
But we will likely be back there January 18th. Shout out to the Winter Springs VFW for being awesome hosts. Again, Roy, Nick, Jake, they were my kind of big 3 volunteers. Roberto came by. Carrie, guys, shout out to Carrie, just because Carrie's guys making our t-shirts, makes that t-shirt. Carrie's killer on the t-shirts. So shout out to everybody. We'll be doing it again. And with that being said, keep an eye out on our social media. I have a pretty crazy list of what I'm doing for the next 2 weeks. We're going to be out and about, not events we host, but we'll be out and about so you can come see us. We probably won't have keys at those events. That'll kind of be more general comics. So you'll see graphic novels, kids books. So if you need Christmas presents, we'll have kids books. And then we also have the flash packs. I love the flash packs. They do so well for us.
Flash packs are good.
Essentially, we make story bundles, and it'll leave you at a jumping off point. So that way you it's like you had the graphic novel, but you got to collect all the issues. And Roy, as always, parting words.
I don't know. I like we were talking about last time, getting close to the end of the year and all the holidays. And so I think it's a great time to, just reach out to people, anybody. I know me personally, like if I'm going through it in any kind of way, I'm a guy who's going to tell you I'm fine, like no matter what. But in the back of my head, when someone you know, I still don't have to feel like I'm really alone because, you know, someone's there to be like, hey man, what's up? How's it going? You know, anything, you know, and I'm like, all right, well, there's still people out there, you know what I mean, that want to hang out and want to do these things. And so you never know whose day you could be uplifting just with something simple as a check-in, you know what I mean? Because a lot of people, you know, too much interaction is too much for them as well. So those simple check-ins, I think, go a really long way towards letting people know that, you know, there is still connectivity and kindness in this world. And I think that's a great thing to propagate, man. Get out there and be nice to someone or else.
You
know?
know, so at that, it's so funny because like I was ready for today's parting words because so I was obviously a little upset yesterday at the start of the event when I realized my shirt, my Flashpoint shirt, because obviously I'm the owner of the business. I want to rep the store. So I was a little heartbroken that it had a smell to it. So I'm like, all right, you know what? I'm not gonna rock it, right?
Because you were working.
I was working, but you know what? So I threw on the hoodie that my wonderful wife got me, and you
Yep.
probably seen the hoodie throughout the day.
I did.
And then the picture that Trish took of us.
Yeah.
You know, obviously it's a great picture because we're family, man. And I'm glad Lauren was able to Photoshop Nick into it.
Yeah.
But I look at the picture and I just see the front of the hoodie where it says "You are enough."
Yeah.
And it really kind of summed it all up to me. Like I shouldn't be here. I think we've had this type of conversation, right? I had 2 attempts on my life, you know. I shouldn't be here. And sometimes I think about how if I would have just had somebody that gave me that type of positivity, I would be here still. I'm here, right? Thank God I'm here.
Yeah.
But it probably wouldn't have gone through those struggles, or at least as hard of a struggles.
Sure.
So it's the kind of the same thing you said, the same thing we said last week, man. And I hate to even say it as check in. Talk to your friends. Talk to your friends. You know,
Sure.
if you go through your phone and you realize, man, I haven't talked to Jimmy in 2 months. You know, that's the last text we sent, 2 months. You know what? Just hit that text box, open it, and say, "Hey, dude, how you doing?" And you know, wait for a response. If there is no response, you still did your part. Let me say it that way. I know a lot of people don't like being like left on red is the new term for it.
Sure.
Don't stress about that. That is a tiny thing to stress. You might have still made their day, but they might have been busy in the drive-through at McDonald's and something fell on their lap, and you know that's why they didn't text you. Like, don't take it to heart. Like, check in on
You
people.
don't know everyone's whole story, is what we said.
Communication is a two-way street, but in certain occasions, especially when you're just like checking in, you're sending love, it does not have to immediately go both ways. I know there's plenty of times where I send friends love, birthdays, things like that, and I hear back from them in 2 weeks. I still love them all the same, and I know they love me all the same. So just think of it that way. You know, check in on your friends, but don't feel any type of way if they don't reply, because we're all, you know how many of us are introverts. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's hard for us. So like check in on your friends this time of year, and support, honestly. And the other thing I want to say is support small business. You know, I know everybody's buying Christmas gifts, and I know Black Friday was probably real big at the big box stores. So if you already kind of knocked out your big box store on Black Friday, try to spend the rest of it at small businesses. You know, like anything from the mom and pop dry cleaners to the mom and pop food place to the mom and pop comic shop or bookstore or whatever, you know. And when if you're at a bookstore or comic shop and they're doing a signing, I was talking to Uni's about to have a signing at Blackbird. Come out and support those people, man, because there ain't to me, we talked about it last week, there ain't no smaller business, there ain't no smaller anything than the people doing it blood, sweat, and tears in their garage, in an office, you know. Like it's different. It's different. So support your peeps. And all of y'all have a good rest of your week. Enjoy the weather. I think even in Florida, it's nice. And I'm sure if you're up north, it might be cold. And then again, shout out to Kalani. Thank you for joining us. He's Flashpoint family now, baby. So we'll meet him in February. Take it easy, y'all. Flash out.